A strong case could be made for no corner of the globe being more passionate about their football than South America. Between Brazil, Argentina and Uruguay, South American nations have won a combined total of 9 World Cups, although the continent is currently in the midst of its longest ever barren spell, having won 4 finals without lifting the trophy. Those of you who watch my video on the best footballer of all time from every country in Europe may recall that I said any future editions for other continents would be based on how that video did. I'm happy to say it did a bit better than expected, and since there are far fewer nations in South America, I was happy to commit to a second episode. Africa, Asia, North America, etc. could all follow, but I'm not making any promises at this stage. As always, the criteria is South American, means any nation affiliated with the South American Football Confederation, and to feature, the player must either have represented the national team in question or have been born there and not represented any other nation. Here are my views on the best footballer ever from every country in South America. Argentina, Lionel Messi. Going as we typically tend to, in alphabetical order, we start with titans of the South American game in the form of Argentina. World Cup winners in 1978 and 1986, Argentina, have given the world 3 of the 5 greatest footballers to have ever lived, as far as I'm concerned, so no nation has greater competition for the title of GOAT than La Albiceleste. Lionel Messi, Diego Maradona, and Alfredo Di Stefano are the 3 players in question. Maradona is undoubtedly the most beloved in Argentina. Quite possibly the most naturally gifted footballer the world has ever seen, Maradona was only 5'5", but he was explosive, incredible on the ball, and impossible to stop at full tilt. Di Stefano is the most complete footballer to have ever lived, starting out as a forward, but dropping deeper and deeper as his career went on. Smart, impeccable on the ball, and devastating in front of goal, he made Real Madrid the best team in Europe, having established himself in Argentina and Colombia. Both Maradona and Di Stefano are real candidates as not just the greatest Argentinian, but the greatest footballer worldwide of all time. But for me, Lionel Messi is the finest player to have ever lived. Messi isn't just incredible on the ball and both the most creative and prolific footballer of his generation, he also has the best decision making I have ever seen. There have been lots of players capable of moments of pure magic like Messi in the past, but none who have combined that genius with his level of efficiency and effectiveness in possession. He is my all-time worldwide GOAT, and as such, my Argentinian GOAT. The term GOAT is an acronym for the greatest of all time, by the way, just in case there are any really confused viewers out there thinking Lionel Messi isn't a hardly domesticated, ruminant mammal that has backward curving horns. What is this guy on about? Bolivia, Marco ETCHEVERRY. Bolivia's 2 greatest footballers were born just 11 months apart in the city of Santa Cruz and spent 14 years playing together in the national team. It is difficult to split those 2, namely Marco ETCHEVERRY and Owen Sanchez. Sanchez played a high standard of football at club level, spending 14 years in Portugal with the likes of Benfica and Boa Vista, winning 2 league titles. ETCHEVERRY spent a single season in Spain with Albacete, as well as brief stints in Chile and Colombia, but is best known for the 7 years he spent with DC United in the MLS. ETCHEVERRY played over 200 games, won 8 trophies, and made the MLS Best 11 4 times during his time in the US capital. Both of these 2 were gifted number 10s who were at the peak of their powers when Bolivia qualified for the 1994 World Cup. Sanchez was quicker and possessed a thunderous shot, but ETCHEVERRY was a fantastic dribbler of the ball. There's very little to split them, but we're going with the 1998 MLS MVP. Brazil, Pelé. The most successful national team at the World Cup finals, Brazil are 5-time world champions, and their list of great players, from Socrates, Garrincha and Arthur Friedenreich to Ronaldo, Romario and Zico, is a quite incredible one. Nevertheless, no one comes close to challenging Pelé for the title of the greatest Brazilian footballer to have ever lived. The runner-up in our feature-length special looking at the 100 greatest footballers of all time, Pelé was a phenomenon the likes of which the sport has never seen before or since. Whilst I am of the opinion that Lionel Messi has now exceeded the talents and achievements of Pelé, he hasn't had as much of a jaw-dropping and completely revolutionary impact upon the sport as the great Brazilian. Pelé was already the best player in the world at 17, and he maintained that reputation until the age of 30. Such a complete centre-forward, Pelé was quick, agile, he had an incredible leap, he was brilliant on the ball, smart, skillful and clinical. Like Messi, Pelé married those moments of pure magic with excellent general decision making, giving birth to one of the most prolific and devastating forwards the sport has ever seen. Chile, Elias Figueroa. South America's answer to Franz Beckenbauer, Elias Figueroa, was a world-class sweeper who won a trio of South American Footballer of the Year awards. A legend of both Peñarol in Uruguay and Internacional in Brazil, Figueroa was a rock-solid and ever-composed defender who was excellent on the ball, a force of nature in the air, and incisive in the pass. Named as the best defender in South America every year from 1972 to 1977, Figueroa was voted Foreign Player of the Century in both Uruguay and Brazil, and sees off the likes of Ivan Zamorano and Alexis Sanchez relatively comfortably to take the title of Chilean GOAT. Colombia. Carlos Valderrama. As with Chile, some of Colombia's greatest ever footballers are still active now. Both James Rodriguez and Radamel Falcao deserve honourable mentions, especially Falcao, who was one of the best centre-forwards in the world during his 4 seasons split between Porto and Atletico Madrid, but we can't personally overlook Carlos Valderrama. Valderrama was an icon of Colombian football, and indeed football worldwide, with his enormous curly afro, sumptuous technique, and wonderful eye for a pass. A 2-time South American Footballer of the Year, Valderrama was among the best passers of the ball in the world at the height of his talents, and he beats the likes of Wellington Ortiz and Freddy Rincon to top spot for Colombia. Ecuador. Alberto Spencer. One of the easiest decisions in this entire video, Alberto Spencer was one of the finest centre-forwards on the planet during the 1960s, a golden age for strikers in many respects. Sadly, our European viewers are likely to be less acquainted with Spencer than the likes of Eusebio and Gerd Müller, since the Ecuadorian legend never played outside of South America or in a World Cup. Inter Milan repeatedly tried to sign the man who remains the all-time record goalscorer in the Copa Libertadores, but Peñarol wouldn't budge. Spencer was quick, 2-footed, and one of the finest headers of a ball to have ever lived. He represented both Ecuador and Uruguay at international level, and is comfortably the former's greatest ever player. Paraguay. Arsenio ERICO. The South Americans have somehow managed to outdo themselves, as Paraguay produced a striker who was even more prolific than Alberto Spencer. Arsenio ERICO is universally considered to be the greatest Paraguayan footballer to have ever lived, and among the greatest worldwide by those who saw him in action. An instinctive goal-getter, but also a well-rounded centre-forward in general, ERICO scored a remarkable 295 goals in 325 league games for Club Atlético Independiente, a tally that still makes him the all-time record goalscorer in the history of Argentina's top flight. None of ERICO's 26 goals, or 56 appearances for Paraguay, came in fixtures recognised by FIFA, but he is undoubtedly the country's greatest of all time. Peru. Teófilo Cubillas. Along with Bolivia, Peru presented the trickiest decision in this video. Hector Chumpetas was a world-class centre-back who was twice named as South American Defender of the Year and was elected into a Copa America All-Time 11 in 2007, whilst Teodoro Fernandez is widely regarded as the finest striker in the history of both Universitario and Peru, having been named as the best player and top scorer with 7 goals from 4 games when Peru won their first Copa America title in 1939. Either of those two could have taken it, but in the end I've gone with Peru's most iconic footballer, Teófilo Cubillas. A phenomenally gifted attacking midfielder, Cubillas is best remembered globally for his performances at the World Cup, where he scored 10 goals in 13 games as the 3rd highest scorer at the 1970 World Cup and joined 2nd in 78. He also inspired Peru to their 2nd Copa America title in 1975 and was absolutely sensational for Alianza Lima, Porto and the Fort Lauderdale Strikers at club level. A marvellous technician who could beat players at will, Cubillas was an incredibly prolific and creative number 10, as well as being among the finest dead ball specialists the sport has ever seen. Uruguay. Jose Andrade. If one were to measure quality footballers produced and achievement on the world stage on a per capita basis, no one would come close to Uruguay. By far the smallest of all the South American Football Association affiliated nations, with a population fewer than half the 2nd smallest of Paraguay, Uruguay are the world's most successful national team in terms of trophies won. Uruguay have won the Copa America record 15 times, in addition to having won the World Cup in 1930 and 1950. From Hector Scarone or Julio Varela to Jose Nasazzi, Jose Santamaria and Enzo Francescoli, even current trio Diego Godin, Luis Suarez and Edinson Cavani, the quality Uruguay have produced over the years is staggering. Nevertheless, the title of Uruguay's GOAT is a question of Juan Alberto Schiaffino or Jose Andrade. Andrade was the main man when Uruguay became world champions in 1930, while Schiaffino was equally pivotal when La Celeste replicated that feat 2 decades on. Schiaffino was a magnificent withdrawn forward who later starred for AC Milan, but my choice is Andrade, who spent the best part of a decade being regarded as the best footballer on earth something that isn't easy for a prolific centre forward, never mind for a defensive midfielder. Athletic, intelligent, brilliant on the ball, and laser-like in the pass, Andrade was Uruguay's talisman as they won 3 Copa Americas, 2 Olympic gold medals, and 1 World Cup between 1923 and 1930. Venezuela. Juan Arango. The only South American nation in which football doesn't reign supreme, baseball, is the most popular sport in Venezuela. That is reflected in the nation's achievements on the international stage, having never featured at World Cup finals and having never won a Copa America title. 2 of Venezuela's finest footballers play right now in the forms of Thomas Rincon and Solomon Rondon, whilst the greatest of all time, Juan Arango, played his last international fixture in 2015. A talented midfielder with a brilliant left foot, Arango spent 10 years in Europe with Mallorca and Borussia Mönchengladbach, as well as stints in Mexico and the USA. A really good passer and crosser of the ball and a dead ball specialist, Arango is Venezuela's most capped player of all time and in our eyes, also their best. That's it for today's video. Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Since you've got this far and in exchange for eternal good luck and happiness, why not subscribe and turn on notifications for the ever brilliant HITC 7s. Also, for mobile users, if you click on your screen now there should be some suggestions of other videos YouTube thinks you might like, and I agree with YouTube. If you're watching on desktop, they should appear of their own accord. Thank you all for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a brilliant day.